Hello, welcome back to another Sunday School Bible class. I'm so glad you're here. Today we are on a lesson entitled Paul's Trip to Rome. In our last lesson, we had learned how Paul and the other disciples had taken the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ, to other countries, teaching both Jews and Gentiles how to be saved and starting many churches in these other countries. In today's lesson, we will learn about Paul's trip to Rome. Paul and Silas went to other countries and continued to spread the gospel to other countries, converting many people to Jesus Christ. They started many churches. Paul decided to travel throughout the area again, trying to encourage and help all the people that he had converted to Christ. He went to all the churches he started and helped many more people believe in Jesus Christ. When Paul came to a city named Ephesus, he stayed there for over 2 years, teaching many people in the synagogues that Jesus was the Messiah. Many of the religious Jews did not believe and argued with Paul and caused much trouble for him. However, God performed special miracles through Paul so that he healed many people and cast out demon spirits from many who were possessed. In fact, the power of God was with Paul so much that many people who practiced magic and witchcraft and all types of evil spells repented and burned all their black magic books and believed in Jesus Christ and did not try to conjure up evil spirits anymore. Then Paul moved on and went to many other cities, telling them that he knew that he was going to die for Jesus pretty soon, warning all of them of the churches that he started to keep their faith in Jesus even after Paul would be killed. Paul eventually came to Jerusalem, and it was here that the religious Jewish leaders started trouble by lying about Paul, making all the people think Paul was preaching against Moses and against the temple. They started such a commotion in Jerusalem that the Roman centurions, with all the Roman soldiers, arrested Paul, not knowing why all the people were against him. When the Roman centurion found out that Paul was a Roman citizen, even though he was also a Jew, the Roman centurion sent Paul to Caesarea to be tried by the governor Felix. When Felix heard Paul talk about Jesus Christ, he was afraid, and because Paul did not commit any crime worthy of death, Paul appealed to the Roman emperor. So the governor let Paul stay there without restrictions so that Paul was allowed visitors while he waited 2 years for a trial. After 2 years, a new governor named Festus took over, and he decided to hear Paul with King Agrippa. When they both heard Paul, they were so amazed that they thought Paul might have been set free if he had not appealed to the Roman emperor in Rome. So Paul was shipped to Rome as a prisoner with many other prisoners. On this journey, the ship, with a total of 276 people, ran into a terrible storm. Paul encouraged everyone in the ship, telling them that God told him they would all survive, but they would be cast onto an island. Sure enough, the ship broke, and they all landed on a small island. The people who were on the island were very nice to the soldiers, Paul, and all the other prisoners. However, when they tried to build a fire by gathering firewood from branches of dead trees, a poisonous snake came out of one of the branches and bit Paul. Paul shook off the snake and threw it into the fire. The natives of the island thought that Paul was being punished by some god. However, when they looked at the bite mark, expecting it to turn into a wound, nothing happened. And then they changed their minds and realized that Paul was a very special person, and they began to listen to him preach about the one true God and Jesus Christ. The chief of the island had a father who was sick, and Paul prayed for the man, and he was healed. Many of the other prisoners also heard about Jesus Christ from Paul, and even the Roman soldiers heard about Jesus Christ. Eventually, when the weather cleared and calmed, they boarded a new ship to Rome for Paul to be tried before the emperor. Paul was allowed to have as many visitors as he wished while he waited in prison for 2 years. During that time, he wrote many letters, which are called epistles, to many of the churches that he started. Eventually, both Peter and Paul gave their lives for Jesus Christ, but the works that they did, the churches that they started, and the letters that they wrote would help Christians over 2,000 years later, even up to this day. We still read their letters from the Bible in our churches and our Sunday school today. From these letters, we learned that by Jesus' resurrection, he gave us hope that death is not the end. The fact that someone came back from the dead to prove to the world that death is not the end changed human history. The world would never be the same again because the world would soon hear that there was life after death. The world had a hope. There truly was a reason to live. There truly was something that would make all the trouble, pain, and sadness in this life worth it. That there was another life, an eternal life, where people would rise never to die or suffer again if they believed in Jesus Christ. So if you are suffering and going through a lot of sadness and see trouble all around you every day, believe in Jesus Christ, and someday all that suffering will be over, and you too will be resurrected to live forever with Jesus in his kingdom, which will have no end. See you next time. Bye-bye.